There we go, got the mic on. Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning. I am Technical Sergeant Trina at MTL for the Special Warfare Community, and we're going to start a professional development stream. So today, let's see, what is it? It is 0901, so we're starting right on time for the most part. Let's see if we got any. This whole participants feature in this YouTube stream doesn't let me know who's in chat. So if you guys are in chat, please speak up. Let's see if we can get, I don't know, a count. Let's see if anybody's participating in chat. What's going on, guys? So per usual, I will kind of start the stream off with a couple things. I'm going to take these off right now. Start the stream off with a couple things, one of which being is, why do we do Airmanship 200? Well, because we want to be better people, we want to be better airmen. Airmanship 200 is one of those things that helps us find our why. Why did we join the military? Why did we decide to serve in this capacity? And what are we doing in this military, right? And then from there, good morning, Levy. Thank you. Good morning. And then from there, guys, let's see. Airmanship 200 really is just another way that we can kind of rethink what we're doing on a weekly basis, maybe bi-weekly basis, or right now we got it going on that way, of how we can participate in this, or earn this U.S. Air Force on our chest. How we can make sure that what we're doing right now is in line with Air Force core values, standards, customs, and courtesies, and to ensure that what we're doing is we're living the lifestyle that we should be living as a uniformed member of the Department of Defense. So once again, I want to tell you that this stream right now, while the content on the stream is all Air Force approved in regards to the training aspect, like the lesson outline and stuff like that, that's all content specifically designed for Airmanship 200. My views are my own. So I'm doing this as a professional development stream so that we can make sure that we, like I said before, that we can become better people, and then and better airmen, and then from there, that's it. It's just really all certain train is thinking and what I'm doing. So today I want to talk about citizenship, right? I want to look at how we as airmen are citizens of our communities, wherever we are in the world, whether that be you at home, whether you're a guard or reserves, whatever you're in, active duty, you are a citizen. And then from there, you're an airman, and you represent the Air Force and your unit and you, and we want to make sure that we're doing that in the proper way to do justice to our legacy and everything that we got going on. With that, let's see. So before this, I was trying to decide what topic I wanted to discuss, and one of the topics I'm looking forward to discussing is lethality. Oh man, let me tell you. While I do think that would be an excellent topic to discuss, I think that it's kind of important to look at that topic through the guise of citizenship. Well, really everything else that we do go over through the stream, right? Like, while lethality is really a large point of the military and what we do to make sure that we have that bigger stick and tell people that they can't be doing these crazy things that they're doing in the world, we got to do that with intentions that are appropriate and decided upon by the Air Force and American people, you know? So, one second, let me see if I can mess with this filter real quick so that I don't, you guys don't have this weird eye thing going on, and then you guys are staring at my eyes the whole time, and it looks really weird. But yeah, so how's everybody doing in chat today? I got Levy Anthony who participating. I got Matt Taylor on there. Thank you, Matt, for showing up. Appreciate it. And that should do it, I think. Let's go. Okay. Good. All right. We're looking good. Eyeballs on there. All right. Okay, guys. Let's see. Let's watch this this video from the Profession of Arms of Excellence Center. So they create a whole bunch of these videos, and a lot of them are geared towards Airmanship 200 and other things. Like, some of these were made fairly recently, but then some of them were made a while ago. You know, in relative terms, 3 years ago, so on and so forth. So these are pretty good videos to watch and just kind of get, one, be professionally developed, guys, and then two, just to kind of help reinvigorate and make you think about some of the things that you did, one, when you enlisted, and two, while you've been here. So let's watch this one right here. It's called Reasons, and it kind of helps us as we think about why we joined the military and what we did, and you guys will see. Yeah, you'll see it. Let me know if the audio's good, guys.
You had your reasons. Maybe you wanted something more. Maybe you saw beyond circumstance, beyond limitation. Maybe you saw the possibility of a better you. Maybe you had your fill of easy revelry, of pointless distraction.
Dang, look at
Or
that.
maybe good enough just wasn't good enough.
It suffered near total destruction after
Maybe it hurt too much to watch and do nothing,
people have died.
while others suffered.
All is expected to rise.
To stand and wait for others to decide what to do. Maybe the injustice fanned your rage, and that rage pushed you to action, and that action set you on this path to your more noble self. It's not easy. Push, push, focus, push. Go to sleep, wake up, do it again. Push through the frustration, shrug off the cynicism, ignore the pain. Go to sleep, wake up, do it again. No, it's never been easy. But you didn't join the Air Force because it's easy. You didn't sacrifice family and friends because it's easy. You're among the nation's 1% who have chosen to protect all that we hold dear. You love the challenge of making yourself better, and the challenge of making those around you greater than they think they can be, surpassing limits they think are unbreakable. We live for the pursuit of excellence and the satisfaction of bringing each other on this journey. Something or someone inspired you to be great, to look to the skies. Remember why you wake up each day and put on the uniform of the United States Air Force. Each of us has our reasons.
Yeah. So I like that just because it kind of goes, it goes over that sort of transition that you had maybe when you joined or when you decided to join. A whole bunch of reasons are present there, right? It has a whole bunch of family issues, making sure that you guys, well, I don't want to say family issues, but it's like that motivation to join because of family. It's that kind of just makes you rethink or have a nice review of what you were doing before and then why you joined now. And those reasons kind of evolved too. Like when I joined, and I've gone over this too before in other streams. I didn't join necessarily because like I had a strong, I mean I had a desire to serve my country, but really I had a hard time surviving where I was, and I wanted to be a firefighter, and where I was at, it was very difficult to get a full-time position as a firefighter. I went to college to be a firefighter. I went to my first fire academy in Lansing, Michigan, and then went to an EMT academy and got all the licenses required, and was looking for a job, and everyone said, hey, you need, we really want the experience. You got a lot of education here, that's really good, but we really want you to have the experience. And I was like, well then give me a job and I'll have some experience, man. Like, I got you, just hook it up, brother. And after many applications and interviews, I decided to go for the military. And luckily enough, firefighting was one of the jobs they were like, I'm not sure you can get. And then I was like, well, I got this degree and I got these certifications. They're like, oh, sweet, go ahead, yeah, we'll get you in. Cool. And then they sent me to Beale Air Force Base in Northern California. Kind of cool. So, after that tangent, let's move through. We got our objective today is to have the participants discuss the duties and responsibilities that are required of an airman to be good citizens of the community, to the community, of the community, and to the community and communities. While it says 50 minutes, guys, it'll probably be around 30 minutes as we discuss and then go through. And if you have anything to say in chat, please do. If you have your own experiences in chat, please participate. Would love to hear anybody else's experience as they went through and their ideas about citizenship and how airmen can be good citizens and how they can be good airmen, all that good stuff. So introduction, part of something bigger than yourself. That's what being a citizen is. That's being part of this big melting pot experience of the United States, is being something bigger than yourself. I think it's a little bit harder for, I don't want to say the younger generation, because I still kind of feel as I'm part of the younger generation. Probably not. I mean, probably not. I'm just a crusty old tech sergeant now, I guess. I don't know. But as part of the younger generation, it's kind of hard to think about what our founding fathers went through and stuff like that, separating from England, coming over here, 13 colonies. Oh, we want to be states, and we don't want any other rulers on us, and we don't want any of your dumb rules, Dad. I don't want any of your rules. And then seceding from Britain and creating our own country and the wars that followed and all that good stuff. So it's now that we're in these times that are so removed from there, it's kind of difficult in a sense to relate to that and see that and feel value in what they were saying. But when we go through this whole entire thing, we're going to talk about some of that in essence, right? We're talking about what it means to be an airman and what it means to be a citizen, and then I think we should kind of understand the reason why we have why our country is made the way it is, like we don't have a monarchy and stuff like that. What are the expectations of airmen outside of daily duties? Ooh, what are the expectations of airmen outside of daily duties? So you're going to do your job, right? You're going to earn U.S. Air Force on your chest. And then from there, you still got to represent. You got U.S. Air Force on your chest. When people look at me as I'm walking around in my civilian clothes, as much as I would love to be like, I'd love for them to think like that dude has no connotation with military service. Of course, so like look at this amazing haircut that I give myself, number one, all the way around every week. When people see me, they probably don't necessarily think like, oh, look at that guy. I wonder what he's doing. They might be like, yeah, that dude's in the military, for sure. One, I live around in a military community. Two, after you get through basic training and after you had some time in the military and you're doing some of these things and having this blue rope and stuff like that, you kind of present yourself a little bit differently, right? Maybe when you joined, previous to you joining, you might not have been so confident. And then you went through basic training, you went through some adversity, you made some camaraderie, you got some friends, you made some relationships, and now you have now you have this foundation around you that helps support you, and maybe it helps you be more confident. I don't know. But that right there kind of, it makes people look at you. And the reason why I say this is because we're looking at citizenship, and as you and I are thinking about this, we're thinking about citizenship here. You're thinking about citizenship in the United States. You're thinking about citizenship at your, wherever you joined before, right? So for you airmen in training that came from home, wherever home was, in whatever city or town that you were in the United States, and then you went from there to the delayed entry program, and then you flew from there and you went over to basic training and you did that, and now you're in tech school and you're building these relationships and learning about the military, and you're thinking about what citizenship means to you and where you were at prior to this. And you're like, I don't know, wait, I went to maybe you used to go to church, and that's sort of being part of a citizen. Maybe you used to go to, you'd help around your neighborhood, you'd help around your town, your city, you'd do volunteer work, whatever you did. That's part of being that citizen that helped your community for the greater good, right? So now we got to think about that in a broader sense, not only for the American people and what you do as an airman and your communities, right? Your squadron community, your group community, your wing community, your base community, and then your surrounding community that your base is in. But you also have to think about this in a sense that, think about after you're done with technical training and you go from here to your first duty location overseas. And now you are overseas, and for funsies, let's just go Germany, right? Because a lot of people like that. I was at Ramstein. I was there for 3 years, and it was phenomenal. It was a great time. I had great leadership. I had great people to be around, and there was a lot of camaraderie and community, and it felt great. I loved it. And part of that, though, is part of being a good citizen there is being a good example and learning about the surrounding communities and how people do things and what the German citizens do and what you can do to kind of be a part of that community as well and be a good example of what the American people bring to our allies. So it's broader than just your view of what you did, like maybe back at home. Okay. Airmen are airmen every day of the week, every hour of the day, no matter if they are wearing the uniform on or off duty. They are always to demonstrate being a healthy citizen airman. Being good citizens means considering the greater needs of the community first, something bigger. Thinking of the greater needs of the community first. Right? Integrity first, excellence in all we do. Service before self. Those are the core values that we adhere to as airmen, that we are trying to adhere to as airmen, right? We got to make our best effort to go in there and live those core values every single day. And part of that service before self is considering the greater needs of the community first. And it's difficult to do that sometimes. Sometimes you want to be a little bit selfish. And sometimes you are. Sometimes I am. And what we got to do our best to sort of suppress that desire to be a little bit selfish and do what we can to help the greater needs of the community, and then forgive ourselves if we make mistakes. Okay, let's see this. Introduction. Oh, the Pledge of Allegiance, guys. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I think that was it. Should have been all of it. But I haven't said it since like the 3rd grade, so I don't know. All right, when was the last time you said the Pledge of Allegiance? For me, third grade, 4th grade, 3rd grade. I don't know, somewhere around there. It's been a while. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God. Justice. Okay. Yeah, it's been a while. What part of the Pledge of Allegiance means the most to you? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God. Probably to the republic, I think. With liberty and justice for all. I mean, those are some, so for those of you who remember, back in the day, I say back in the day, schools used to require, like every morning you would stand up, right, and there'd be a flag in every classroom, and you put your hand over your heart, and you'd say the Pledge of Allegiance, and you do it all together. And some of you more, I don't know, conspiracy theorist types of individuals might be like, wow, that sounds really weird. But you got to think, like, right there, that's a realistic way of looking at the sacrifices and everything that the flag stands for, and it's a reminder every day that that flag stands for freedom and our values and American core values and what we do, and that you're a part of this great nation that's providing, I don't know, help to across the globe. Truthfully, help across the globe. When I think about being a citizen, when I think about being an airman citizen specifically and stuff like that, the visualization that comes to mind is that of, like, while we are at war, I mean, that's one of the things, that's the reason why we wear this uniform, right, is to ensure that we protect our ideals and our nation and our citizens and everything like that. My thinking is that this uniformed individual, right, full battle gear and everything that they have on, and we're going to these outside countries, these outside civilizations, whatever, these communities that we're going to that have been oppressed and that don't have the levels of freedom that we have and don't have the resources that we have, and we're going there, and there's just this one person, this family that's been oppressed, and they're in this terrible situation, and then we come in, boom, and we go there and we remove the individuals, the evil individuals that are trying to destroy their way of life. And that's kind of what I think of, and that's sort of like, that's what, as we lead into this, like what part of the allegiance means most to you, I kind of think of that liberty and justice for all. That's kind of what I think about. I kind of think about saying that everyone has the right to believe what they want to believe for the most part, right? As long as you're not at pushing your beliefs onto other individuals and they accept it. It's an open conversation, right? And we've got to take care of each other. And I think that that's what this military, the United States military, is that force that goes in for good. And when I say for good, I mean like for good purposes. And we help individuals have a greater level of freedom and autonomy and a greater level of quality of life and all that good stuff, where you can practice what you believe without fear of persecution. All right. For many, reciting the Pledge of Allegiance is an opportunity to show respect towards our country. In addition, this drives home the pride we feel as U.S. citizens. You know, I do think that. Yeah, Sarah agrees with Sam. She thinks that's very similar. It sounds like that part means the most to her as well. I completely agree. Want to be part of something bigger than yourself. So why did you join the Air Force? You guys kind of heard why I joined the Air Force. I joined the Air Force because I needed a job. I was sick of living on minimum wage. I wanted to be a fireman, doing fireman things with my fireman friends, but I was working at Olive Garden making freaking minimum wage, and it was really difficult to pursue a path in emergency services when I couldn't get the experience. And the Air Force said I could have it, so I took it. And then as I was in the Air Force, everyone started to take care of me and care about me as an individual, and I was like, wow, that's weird. Stop. You guys made me feel uncomfortable. People really cared about me, and it was awkward. I said, okay, well, great, thank you. And then they started to care about the direction that I was going. Like, they wanted to make sure that I was successful in my military career, and I was like, well, hey, guys, this is when people actually care about you. It feels a little bit weird sometimes. I mean, not that. So I had a weird upbringing. I say weird. And when I joined the military, this military became more of a family and a large family for me. Like, it was enlightening, and that's helped me a ton and helped me go into this military service thinking about how I can give back and help others feel the same way, right? So I joined the Air Force, and then it evolved for me into the Air Force. And like I said before, there's the day then you join the Air Force, and there's the day when the Air Force joins you. And that happened to me fairly, shortly after my second assignment when I went to USAF Airmen. My first assignment, I was really focused on making sure that this was like a one-time deal, and I'm just going to do this and then get a job as a civilian fireman and do fireman things. And then I went, boom, now I'm feeling like, wow, I really want to be an airman. And I am an airman, and I'm an airman first, and I'm going to do fireman things after. And, it's crazy how this evolves for you as you start to inherently feel those core values every day. How did you feel on the day of the coin ceremony at basic military training? Did you have pride in wearing the uniform? Oh my goodness, absolutely. I remember the coin ceremony. I remember people falling out. You guys remember that? You guys had people, it was hot over there. It's hot here in Texas, and then we were standing at detention, and they're saying all the stuff that they need to say, and your TI's walking around, and dude next to you passes out, and the other airmen go over there and take him away. Happens pretty much every time, because you guys got to stop locking your knees. I think that's what they said. I don't know. But yeah, I had a lot of pride in wearing the uniform for sure. I remember I had family all around, and it was, and everyone got to see this, what feels like a great accomplishment. And it is. As the video said, 1%, less than 1% of the country decides to join the military, and then from there, think about the little percent that's divvied directly to the Air Force, and then you made it through basic training. There's plenty of people who didn't. There's plenty of people who have not made it through basic training. And you made it through basic training, and you got to continue on to your technical training. So good job, guys. For real, good job. You got to think of the small community that you're in and do your best to, live up to the legacy of people before you. There's tons of people. I mean, people have been joining the Air Force forever right now, right? Since 1947. But from there, you have to continue to pursue that dream and push forward and help push the legacy of the Air Force even further. And you're just at the start of that in your career, and it's going to feel real hard in the beginning. It's going to feel real difficult as you make these transitions, and you have a lot of stuff that you have to do and a lot of learning that you have to do. And hopefully, and I believe that you will have leaders that will take care of you and help support you as you make this transition. And like me, you'll start feeling this sense of responsibility, this sense of caring, this sense of belonging, and you'll really start feeling like the Air Force is part of you. And like you want to stay in the community, you want to commit, you want to push forward. And then 10 years will go by and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm halfway through my career. And then you'll be starting to think about like you want to be a good example to your airmen as well, and you got to make sure that you plan for to bring others around you up, and then your exit, right? So that's something that I'm just beginning to think about. It's crazy. But I have a ton of pride to wear the uniform, and I had a ton of pride right there at that point in time at basic military training. That was a defining moment in my life when I received my airman's coin, when I had met the minimum requirements to go to tech school and be a part of this great organization that we call the Air Force. Of course you did. You earned that right. What does it say right here? It says, facilitator notes this discussion to cover what it means to be a good citizen for the Air Force and the nation, and the behaviors expected of us no matter where we are. So, we are airmen no matter where we are. Right? I don't have to read every single line, you guys, but we are airmen no matter where we are, and I can't agree more. And I can't tell you how evident I feel like that was when I was overseas, stationed in Germany. So you are airmen no matter where you are, and it doesn't matter. So when I was overseas, I had a position as a rescue technical instructor. So I'd go TDY all over Europe, and we teach technical rescue, rope rescue, level 1 and 2, confined space, and a bunch of other stuff. And with that, I get to see a whole bunch of different communities. I got to see Italy. I was over there in Paris. In France. I got to see Portugal and other countries, and I got to see how they did things and their communities were, and how different they were from Germany, and how different they were from America. And with that, I had to represent the ideals of what it is to be an airman. I'd ensure that what I was telling them was appropriate and not get frustrated and not get... And there's a lot of frustrations when you're dealing with different communities and different citizens of different nations, because there's that language barrier, there's that cultural barrier, but you, as the airman, you have to really think about what you're doing and what you're portraying, and you have to learn about that culture. So I learned, at least for my, my German students, that I really have to try and build a rapport for them. Like, while we are ingrained in the military culture and lifestyle, I can go up to any airman and essentially ensure that I can give them an order or a command, right? And of course, it needs to be lawful, and it can't be unjust, and I can't ask them to hurt anybody and all that good stuff. But for the most part, I can be like, hey, look, airman, I need you to take your hands out of your pockets, a little bit crazy. We want to make sure that we portray a professional attitude. All we did, blah, blah, blah. I give you all those big reasons why you need to adhere to AFI 362903, uniform compliance. And then you're essentially going to do it right away. But for my German students, I had to build a rapport. Hey, how you guys doing? You guys doing all right? What's going on in the course? How are you? And we had to really kind of build this relationship so that we could get to the learning, so that we could focus on how to make sure that we tied that rope appropriately, or that we had our belay on appropriately, or that we were making sure that we had everything right so that we continued the operations. So you got to learn about that culture, learn what the rights and wrongs are. I'll tell you a story too. I got a good one, actually, a good cultural story about that, so that you guys are right, so that you guys are providing the appropriate example as citizens, and you're being a good ambassador to the other culture. So, what are some expectations levied on us as airmen? So there's some expectations already right now that you have just by putting on the uniform. You are expected to follow the orders of the NCOs and officers appointed over you, and you are absolutely expected to perform in defense of our nation. So let's look at some of the citizens' rights, all right? And as I went through this and I was looking at the material that I wanted to go over and discuss, I think it was appropriate to head over to the Citizenship Homeland Security website. And the reason why is so that we can kind of go over what somebody who's going through, let's say, who's applying for citizenship, like, what do they have to go through? What do they think about when they're coming from a place that I feel like I described previously, a place there where they were possibly, I don't know, not taken care of well by their government, or they didn't have a sense of community, or oppressed, or something like that, and then they say, hey, I want to be an American citizen. So what are they going over? But before we do that, let's look at this from Wilski. Why do you think most Marines consider themselves Marines first, but airmen usually think of their AFSC first? Wilski, that's one of the reasons why we're doing Airmanship 200. So I think that, hopefully that kind of applies, and I think it does, because we're talking about sort of identities, right? And you being an airman citizen, and you being an airman, and you being a citizen, and whatever cultures are involved in that. But Marines and Army, we're soldier first. Marines, that I'm a Marine first. A Navy, they're a Navy guy first. So from there, for airmen, to consider them airmen first, I think that the Air Force has really focused on making sure that we are technical experts at the positions that we have, and that we are the most technologically advanced portion of the DoD. And from that, like, we really focused on that to make sure that we can do our jobs in whatever capacity that's required to do our jobs. Like, for example, I know more about firefighting than anything else. As a fireman in another branch of the military, we really focus only on aircraft firefighting. And it's because we got a lot of planes in every single branch, right? But as firemen in the Air Force, we do everything. We do first aid, first response, right? From there, we do civilian firefighting. Like in housing, we have mutual aid agreements. We respond off base. We do motor vehicle accidents. Everything. We respond to aircraft. It's all of it. It's the whole encompassing feature of firefighting. So it's more like civilian fire than anywhere else. Now, do we have the best fire prevention team on the planet? Absolutely. And the reason why I say that is because we don't have a lot of fires. We do. I mean, ultimately, over the whole nation, we have a lot of fires. But in the DoD, if I, as a fire prevention guy, go over to you and say, hey, I need you to make sure that that box doesn't go between 18 inches of the sprinkler head when you're in your storage unit, so that if there's a fire, the water spreads appropriately, all that good stuff. You're gonna do it just because I told you to do it. So we have the best fire prevention team, and that's because of the nature of the military in general, and that's because we don't have a lot of fires. And now we move into how we do firefighting in the Air Force, which is all-encompassing, very similar to civilian fire, and then other branches are not the same. And why I say that is because other branches focus, and I would say the Marine and Army, they're soldiers and Marines first, so their job is really secondary to what they do produce on the battlefield. And then on top of that, they've had a lot of time compared to the Air Force, a lot of time to make sure that they review their culture, that they instill those practices in their units and their training and their everyday lives, so that they focus on being that soldier first, or they focus on being that Marine first. And that's what we're trying to do with Airmanship 200. We're trying to make you think about that self-sacrifice. We're trying to make you think about that identity that you have. You are an airman first. So then when you're selected for a DSD, even though you might not necessarily have made that plan for your career, like when you get put up, your leadership says, hey, you, Sergeant Trainer, you're the type of guy that we want to be an MTL. And you're like, well, I really like firefighting. I want to do it with my friends. And they're like, yeah, well, we really want you to lead our technical training airmen. You can be like, oh, yeah, yes, I'll do it. Of course. Why would I not? Right? Because I'm an airman first. And even though your plans for your career might not necessarily be in line with what the Air Force has the direction for you to be, you got to trust in your leaders, and you got to trust in the Air Force to say, hey, I'm going to self-sacrifice. I'm going to do what's right for the Air Force, and I'm going to be a whatever TI, professional development instructor over at Airman Leadership School, or the NCO Academy, Non-Commissioned Officer Academy, or whatever it's going to be. So the Air Force is gonna give us all a whole bunch of directions on stuff that we do agree or we don't agree with, and there's several ways that you can take that. One of which being you can be frustrated about it, right? And I'm not saying you shouldn't be. You absolutely, if you had a direction in life and you wanted to go that way, there's always a level of grief and frustration when you have to change course. But know that every course change is going to come with opportunities. That's for sure. And those opportunities might lead you to places that you never thought you'd go. But it'll explore, but with that exploration, it'll open up your mind and your boundaries and help you relate to other individuals and push forward and be a better leader. Every single one of them does that. But you got to have the mindset, and you got to have that openness to say that that's really what it's going to happen. Thanks, Will. Awesome. I appreciate that comment. I hope I kind of answered your question. I think that just based off of the cultures that the other branches had and their length of time of being a service, it's much easier for them to instill that level of identity in their people. And I think the Air Force is trying to get there. And I think that Airmanship 200 is a way to do that. All right, so as citizens, so somebody who's going to be a citizen who is not currently a citizen, this is some of the rights that they have. They have freedom to express themselves, freedom of worship as you wish, right to prompt and fair trial by a jury, right to vote in elections of public officials, right to apply for federal employment requiring U.S. citizenship, right to run for elected office, and freedom to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's your rights as citizens. Now, there are also responsibilities as citizens. You're welcome, Will. Support and defend the Constitution. Just as a citizen. So like you, as the military member or airman in training, you rose your hand and you said, I'll do this. And then as citizens, that's something that people should be thinking about as well. We have to support and defend our Constitution. Now, as citizens, you're not necessarily doing it by being deployed, right? Our government says, hey, look, we need people in this part of the world, and you guys are going to go there and you're going to destroy the enemy. Yeah. A citizen might just be doing this, supporting and defending the Constitution by, I don't know, participating in voting. They can do this by participating in peaceful peaceful protests and all that good stuff. Like they should support and defend the Constitution to the best of their ability, and by doing so, they got to find their way to do it. Stay informed of the issues affecting your community. I think we kind of do that, and maybe we kind of do that in a way that's difficult, because as we consume all these different types of media, it's sort of hard nowadays to find that what you would say is fact, right? A lot of things that people broadcast as fact, they're broadcasted from both sides and different viewpoints as fact, and you're trying to figure out what to do with it. It's difficult, but do your best. Stay informed about what's affecting your community. So as an airman, right, we're thinking about what's affecting our community back home, maybe. You're thinking about what affects your community in the squadron, in the unit, what your rank is, and then you're thinking about what affects the community as a whole, like the base that you're at, or the airmen, the large concept, the big A airmen, of how it affects airmen all together in the Air Force. Participate in the democratic process. Absolutely. Vote, guys. Vote. Please. Respect and obey federal, state, and local laws. We do that. Respect the rights and beliefs and opinions of others. Respect the rights, beliefs, and opinions of others. So respecting opinions of others doesn't mean you like them, right? It kind of means that people can have opinions, and you don't necessarily. I was just reading a thing recently, because I have this tendency to I can go in some banter back and forth. I can when somebody says something that necessarily that I'm not super stoked about, we can talk about it for a little while, we can talk about it, and then from there we can hopefully come to an agreement on whether or not we, I can maybe learn a little bit more about you, and you can learn a little bit more about me, and we can hopefully change each other's ideals. But we know right now that when we get into an argument, usually each side just trenches down, and they're there, and then it's going to be button heads. So we got to respect those opinions, and then you have to try and realize when there's no value in respect those opinions, and realize when there's no value in trying to persuade the other people, somebody else, to view whatever situation in your opinion. And if you can come to terms with that sooner than later, oh my gosh, you'll definitely be doing better than me. I'm still trying to practice. All right. Participate in your local community. Pay income and other taxes honestly on time to the federal, state, and local authorities. Serve on a jury when called upon, and defend the country if the need should arise. Defend the country if the need should arise. Guys, you did that. Or you're doing that. You decided that I will 100% defend the country should the need arise. Participate in your local community. So as airmen, right, and we're participating in our local community, like I've said many times already, make sure that you're participating. Think about your local community. And that can, so for those of you who are in Texas, think about the base that you're stationed at, and think about how you can assist in that local community and what you can do. And that doesn't have to mean that you get recognition for it, right? That means that as you're walking around and you're going through the day, you're off base, you're on base, maybe you see that piece of trash that's on the ground, just pick it up, throw it away. Do whatever you can to make whatever space you enter into just a little bit better every single time. If you can try and keep that in your mind, I do. I genuinely try to do this as I'm walking around and I see something, and then I guilt trip myself if I miss it. You know what I mean? Like I'll be walking around, I'll be walking to my car, and then across the parking lot is a piece of trash in the gutter right there, and I'll be like, I should go pick that up. And then I'm tired of, but I'm gonna get in my car and I drive away, and then I just think about it, and I'm like, man, it was like 30 steps. You know what I mean? Could have just burned like 6 calories. Just go pick up that little piece of trash and then move on. Then you don't have to guilt trip yourself. Okay, so this is some of the rights that individuals learn about when they're trying to become American citizens and be a part of this community. And then we have the Declaration of Independence, right? All people in the United States have the basic freedoms and protections outlined in our founding documents, the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Jeez. So we're not going to go through the Declaration of Independence, but we got to think about this. Rights of a citizen, freedom to express yourself. There are plenty of countries that do not have that ability, that don't have the ability. I think about in North Korea right now. Think about in China right now. If you express the things that I understand about China right now, are that they have created, especially for the social media aspect, is they're like keeping tabs of people, and they're creating grades of individuals on social media of like how well they are like representations of China. And if you don't meet certain grades, you can't travel outside the nation. All that that's a little bit terrifying, right? They're really hammering down on what the government's viewpoint is on how their people should be. But you, as an American citizen, you as an airman, you have the freedom to express yourself. I mean, that's amazing, and it's unprecedented, legitimately, at the time of the creation of our nation. So, pretty cool. Right to a prompt fair trial by jury. We went over all this stuff. Right to bear arms, absolutely. Right, you have the ability to have a weapon. Not while you're in technical training, guys. Don't bring them on base. Okay. And then when you get to your first city location, you make sure if you're going to live on base, you register them with your security forces and all that good stuff. So make sure you're doing the right stuff with that, all right? Right to vote in elections, right to apply for federal employment, right to run for elections, freedom to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So right to run for elections, like, that's pretty cool as a citizen. You get to try and create policy that helps people and influence your community for the better. I mean, that's what I think. It's another service position, right? We would hope. Okay, we talked about this, stay informed on the issues, all that good stuff. Let's go back to the training because we're going long. Let's see. Let's do. All right. So, what are some of the expectations levied on us as airmen? Well, I think we kind of talked about that, right? You got to be an airman, you got to be part of your community, and you got to have that identity as an airman. And then from there, look at ways that you can better your community to the best of your ability. Because you're representing yourself, you're representing your community, and you're representing the Air Force. What are some expectations the public has for us? They want us to make sure that they want us to be professional and good stewardship of government resources. That's absolutely an expectation of the public. Like, public pays taxes. Taxes pay for our military, and they want to make sure that they're not wasting their money on what the military is doing to the best of their ability. So we, as airmen, have to try and do what we can to ensure that we are utilizing resources appropriately, efficiently, and for the right purposes, so that we can be good stewards of resource. And then also, what do they expect of us? They want us to be they want us to defend our nation. They want us to be called upon in times of need. They want to make sure that we're ready. Readiness, period. They want to make sure that we have that the military can provide a level of readiness, so in the event that our nation has to defend itself or defend others, we can at a moment's notice. So, let's see. Act honorably. Don't break the law. Defend the country. Yeah. So service to our nation is definitely something bigger than ourselves. In order to continue to serve in this capacity, we must meet the expectations of our Air Force and the public. Absolutely, right? If we don't meet the expectations of the public, then they have little trust in us, and then in turn, they can speak to their representatives to try and lower the funding for the Department of Defense, which in turn makes our military smaller and weaker and all that good stuff. So we got to make sure that we're doing the right thing, not for our community, for our country, for the protection of the nation and its interests. What are the expectations of airmen outside of daily duties? Ooh. Can someone tell me what a community is? Well, community is. Let's see. Let's Google community, huh, guys? Community. So community is a TV series. You guys should have knew that right off the bat. Come on now. Let's scroll around real quick. This is risky. I probably shouldn't just be doing this on Google right now. Definition. A group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristics in common. A feeling of fellowship with others as resulting of sharing community attitudes, interests, and goals. Community. Great. There we go. Having particular. It looks like they just took that directly from the dictionary. Weird. Like we didn't have to go over there and Google. What communities are you part of? We're part of the Air Force. You're part of your home community. You're part of your family community. You're part of the larger American community. And then from there, whatever you have specifically, maybe your religious community, whatever you got, maybe your hobbies, maybe you got a hobby that's really good. For those of you who do that Dungeons and Dragons, right? You guys are in that small group of individuals where you slay demons and all that good stuff. Good for you. That's awesome. Legit. You should have passion about stuff that you enjoy and do. So you're part of these communities, and from there you move forward, and you have the same values and opinions, not opinions, but the same values and stuff, and you help work towards a goal together. What characteristics are highlighted in the Air Force community? Here's some of the responses we can expect. The Air Force, career fields, local community, private. Oh, I think that's the first question. Core values, discipline, honor. Absolutely. Core values, discipline, and honor. Those are some of the characteristics in the Air Force community. So we want to adhere to the core values to the best of our ability. We want to make sure that we listen, we have discipline, we follow our chain of command, and we use our supervisors to the best of our abilities. We take care of our subordinates and our peers to the best of our ability. And honor, we want to do that honorably, and we talked about that previously. So go ahead and look at the other videos, and we can learn a little bit more about honor. Get professionally developed, guys. What behaviors do our communities on and off base expect of airmen? I think we kind of talked about that, right? We got to be good stewards of our resources, and we got to be law-abiding citizens. They don't want us to break the law or do anything crazy. We've got to make sure that we're representing the Air Force and the legacy that was left by members before us. You'll be given opportunities to serve in communities. Sometimes you'll be directed to do so. The communities around us not only support our military members, but they are also taxpayers. It's incumbent on us to give back every opportunity we can. Your willingness to serve your community is part of being a good citizen. The Air Force needs you to be good citizens in whatever community you're part of. Yeah. And then you're an ambassador of the Air Force, the organizations, Department of Defense, all that good stuff. What does it mean to be a good ambassador when on and off duty? So right here, set a positive example, right? You are the Air Force's best recruiter. So when you went to basic training, and from there you went to technical training, and then for those who are outside of technical training right now, but while you're in technical training, there's something called recruiter's assistance that you can do. Please get with your MTLs, because you have to have permission to do so, and you have to get with your recruiter to make sure you have permission to do so. But it's a valuable thing that you can do to get to work for your recruiter, and go ahead and to your local communities, and they can kind of see some of the changes that you went through as you were in basic military training and technical training. So feel free to take advantage of that. You can do it annually. You don't necessarily have to be in technical training or a graduate of technical training, and you can go to your local community and work for your recruiter and kind of portray those ideals and those values and be the ambassador of the Air Force to your community so that other members can follow in your footsteps. So I would encourage anybody to do that. Because it's really, I've done it I think twice in my career, and it was really cool to be able to do that and serve in the capacity and also like kind of be back wherever you think home is, and help others around you kind of view what the Air Force is. Now, what behaviors would not be considered favorable in a community? Not following the law, getting arrested, bad attitudes, and being a jerk. Don't you be a jerk, guys. Okay? Stop it. I don't know. I mean, while those are maybe some very eloquent responses, I think we got to think about this. Like, getting arrested, not following the law is not representing the Air Force, right? We want integrity first, service before self, and excellence all we do. And I'm pretty sure that means adhering to the law. I'm almost 100% that that's what that means. Bad attitudes. Now let me tell you about bad attitudes. We are at 0950. We're gonna go on this fancy little story anyway, but let's see. Bad attitudes. As one of my assignments. So when I was an instructor at USAF Academy in Germany, I have thought very highly of my abilities as a firefighter and my knowledge as a firefighter, and I portrayed that. Maybe in a way that was very confident and possibly annoying to my students. And early on, I was told about that. That was portrayed to me that I was having this attitude and opinions, and it was really difficult for people to learn from that. So I would say that probably is a bad attitude. And because I had a bad attitude, it was difficult for people to learn from me, so then I was being less effective as an instructor and as an airman. Like, that's my job right now, is to teach people. But really what they're taking away that sergeant training is a jerk. Like, why they're not going to learn anything from that. So you got to think about you and having a good attitude and how you can influence the members around you so that you are being a good representative of the Air Force. You're being a good steward of our resources, so that when people go to school to learn a valuable skill like technical rescue, they take stuff away and they remember it. They don't just take away that sergeant trainer is mean and I don't like it. So I'm glad that that was brought to my attention by my leaders, and they helped professionally develop me so that I could be more effective as an airman and be a better person. And I'm really grateful that my leaders did that for me. It's not easy. It wasn't easy for them to do that, and it wasn't easy for me to hear. But because they did that, I'm where I'm at now, and I'm a better person for it. I'll tell you that right now. I'm very grateful for it. All right. Let's see. How could these behaviors reflect poorly on the Air Force and DoD as a whole? So let's think about that position that I just talked about. Like, if I have a bad attitude, I'm trying to instruct people who are NATO partnership allies. Now they think Americans are jerks, and they think Americans are mean, and they're not learning anything from them. So I think that's an example we can utilize. A personal example from Sergeant Traina being crazy and needing corrective action to do the right thing. So thank you, Air Force. All right. What are the times when you are tasked and have the responsibility to do a job by your civilian community? Are there times when you are tasked and have the responsibility to do a job by your civilian community? Absolutely. Let's see. So dissuade recruits. Here's some of the things. Oh, jury duty. That's when you're tasked. Yeah, I've been tasked with jury duty before. Yeah, I haven't had to go. I wasn't selected, but I've been tasked for it. So, I don't know. Yes, there's absolutely times where you're tasked to do something. And then in the Air Force, that's a cool thing. They call it voluntold. There's times where you get voluntold to do things. So that's being tasked by your community, your Air Force community. And then your civilian community does the same thing. All right. As we wrap up our conversation, we talked about community. We talked about what it is to be a citizen, what it is to be a citizen and an airman, what people who are trying to be American citizens have to go through, and their responsibilities and their roles and what they do and what they can expect when they are citizens. Well, let's read over this conclusion, and then we can have any questions in chat if you guys got any. So, there are expectations levied on every one of us in uniform by not only the Air Force, but also by those communities in our community. We are now part of something bigger than ourselves, and there are behaviors expected of us to maintain our membership. Additionally, we should be cognizant that we are members of our communities, and there are behaviors that are expected of us on and off duty in both the Air Force and local communities. I hope that you will continue to demonstrate good citizenship throughout your Air Force career and beyond. Guys, that's citizenship. That's communities. And I think it's important for us to recognize what we are doing as airmen, what communities that we're part of as airmen, and then what kind of responsibilities we have to our community, to our citizen, to our nation, as we wield the nation's ability to defend itself and to press our interests throughout the world. So we need to understand our community and what we're doing so that we can be effective and so that we can be appropriate as we are representing ourselves throughout the nation, or throughout the country, throughout the global community. So guys, if you want to learn more about citizenship, please, I want you to look into the Bill of Rights, look at our Declaration of Independence, look at, feel free to go into the, let's see, here it is, the Profession of Arms Excellence Center, Profession of Arms Center of Excellence. Go to their YouTube channel and view some of the stuff that we go through. You can see all these videos. You guys probably watch some of those in basic training for my airman in training right now. And try and build this sense of connectedness to the Air Force. So you're going to learn how to be a good follower, learn how to be a good leader, and learn how to and see if those Air Force ideals that we portray, that we're trying to portray, that we make mistakes while we portray, see if you can adhere to those core values and those standards of discipline and the model that we have as an airman, and do your best to adhere to that, and then forgive yourselves when you don't, and learn how to be better leaders. Get professionally developed, guys. All right. I appreciate everybody who showed up. Thank you so much for showing up to the stream. Feel free to view my MTLs that are here. Please feel free to view the recording, or you can show that to your students if you need to, and then have the discussion. This will hopefully help prompt that discussion, and from there we can be more effective in making sure our airmen kind of identify as airmen first, and then whatever job they are next. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much. I think that's about it. Let's see. Are there any questions in chat? Anybody? I don't want to forget about the questions in chat. The whole idea is to facilitate this conversation. We'll have a few minutes, and we'll do this fancy little music right here, and we'll lower the volume and see if you guys have any questions in chat. Cool. So right now, because of limited viewership during the time of day, I think questions in chat are open to whatever you guys want to have. So whatever questions you got questions on leave, uniform standards, and we can look it up right now together. We can figure it out. Whatever you need. If not, we're good. And if you do have any questions, guys, feel free to comment or comment on the video, and then I'll go look through the rest of the comments, and I can go ahead and get back to you on the following stream if we need to. And then whatever questions you guys have, if you do comment, if the questions are beyond my scope or my capabilities, I'll try and bring that up to my leadership or the appropriate avenue to see if I can get you an answer. And if I can't get you an answer, I'll let you know. So, good to go. All right, guys, we'll just do it that way. We'll do questions in the comments section of this video. Once again, I appreciate everybody showing up and being part of the live stream and participating in this professional development. I think what we're going to try and do next stream is lethality. Now, General Mattis, or retired General Mattis, wrote up a memorandum that went out to all the DoD, and it was excellent on how we portray and the discipline and the responsibility of wielding the nation's lethality. So I cannot wait to read that on stream. I think it's going to be something that's really cool. If you haven't read it, please Google it. It's going to be a memorandum on lethality by General Mattis. It'd be really cool. So. All right, guys. Thanks again. Appreciate it. And you guys have a good day.
rhyme.